What's up, guys? Welcome back to Chandler Burton Entertainment, and I can't believe it. It is literally December of 2021. It is going to be 2022 here soon, and that is absolutely crazy. I'm going to be 29 next year. That really freaking sucks. This video here, I am going to be bringing you guys my top 10 albums of 2021. Again, this is just going to be my list, and my list is not the right list. It's just my own personal list. We're all entitled to our opinions here, so feel free to share your list down below in the comments. But again, please be nice to one another here if you want to share your list. If you don't agree with somebody, be kind to them here. I do not like having negative things throughout the comments here. That just drives me absolutely insane. So feel free to put it down below here, but again, please be kind to one another as we go through this list here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you, we're going to start from 10, go all the way down to 1. I'm also going to show you a clip of each song from the album that I reacted to here. It was really fun going back, looking at my older videos here when I used to use my camera just on my computer, and now I have a really decent webcam. It was fun to kind of go back and see kind of where my journey started doing YouTube. So it kind of definitely took me down memory lane as of like 6-7 months ago, which is crazy how fast, you know, time has gone and how everything has been going for my YouTube channel. I'm really grateful for all the success that I've had, all the friends that I've met, and I'm just super excited to bring you guys my list here. But before we get started, huge shout out to all my patrons here that are going to be on the screen and in the description down below. If you are interested here in joining the Patreon family, again, there's going to be a link down below in the description, and of course always in the pinned comment. But let's go ahead and get started with number 10. So at number 10, I think it's going to shock a lot of people that I put this at number 10, and I guarantee that this album is going to be on a lot of people's top 10 albums of 2021. I guarantee it's probably going to be some people's number 1 album of this year, but I really did enjoy the album here, but there are just some other albums that I just preferred more. But this is an absolutely wonderful debut. I had a great time listening to it all the way through. This was the first album reactions that I did when I started my Patreon, and that is going to be Spiritbox's album, Eternal Blue.
Stoked for this, man.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
This is what's up, man. This sounds so massive. I love it.
The biggest thing for me about this album is that I absolutely love Courtney's voice here. I think she's an absolutely talented vocalist here. The riffs are cool. I don't know if I really would call this like a metalcore album because it has so many different types of like metal and rock on this album here. It's just a really good metal album, I guess you could say. It's a really awesome debut. It's melodic, it's heavy when it needs to be. Courtney has one of the best voices in the game, and this band has blown up so fast, and I love every song on this album. I didn't love it as much as I think most people did, but I absolutely did love this album overall. So again, number 10 is going to be Spiritbox's Eternal Blue. So my number 9 spot, this is a band that kind of came out of nowhere. I just found them on Dreambound. I checked them out here, and I absolutely loved everything that they did going forward here, and I've had the absolute pleasure of being friends with every single one of these guys on Instagram, Facebook, and getting to know them as people, and they legitimately have become some really good friends of mine here, and that is going to be Spirit Breaker's album, Kira Nada.
Oh, yeah. Gotta do a little dancing, brother. Oh, yeah.
Legitimately, everything about this album absolutely works here. The instruments are absolutely fire. There's no like generic breakdowns. There's like a bunch of riffs, and there are breakdowns. They're really clever. The vocals are insane. Again, I got to sit down with Trey, the vocals of the band, to do a podcast with him, so it was absolutely cool to hear his story and how the album came to be and how he became a vocalist and stuff. He's a really awesome guy. And again, I love the lyrics on this album. They are full of heartbreak, full of pain, but also really inspirational at the same time. I legitimately think this is one of the best signings Solid State has ever done. And again, all these guys in the band, I legitimately love every single one of them here. They're all fantastic people. They're all so nice, and they're all super cool. And I wish the best for them here in the future. I cannot wait for new music in the future from them. So again, at number 9 is going to be Spirit Breaker's Kira Nada. Number 8, this is going to be without question the heaviest album on my list here. I am definitely more of a metalcore guy than a deathcore guy. I do love deathcore bands, and it just has to hit right with me, because sometimes I'm like, oh, that kind of sounds the same, this sounds the same here. But this band, it's only their second album in, and they legitimately, for me, have changed the game when it comes to deathcore music. I think their sound is super unique. I have not heard another band do this in this scene, and again, that's going to be Brand of Sacrifice with their album Lifeblood. This is not only one of my favorite records of the year, but this is probably my favorite deathcore record, like, of all time. Definitely in my top 3 for sure. Again, I love Kyle's voice. I just love how all the instruments sound different. And one of the things that I always talk about in music here is sometimes it's really hard to pick songs apart. Sometimes you'll listen to a song and it sounds so familiar to the other song that you can't really tell which is which. And sometimes that's kind of my problem with deathcore. Sometimes you're like, all the songs kind of sound the same, and you kind of get mixed up, like, I don't know which song was which. But with this album, Lifeblood, you could tell every song apart. Every song is so unique. It's heavy in its own way. The lyrics are really cool. Again, Kyle is absolutely insane at vocals. But again, I think the biggest prop for me here is that I can tell each song apart, and each song on this album is absolutely incredible. Again, definitely one of my favorite deathcore releases of this year, and probably of all time. So again, that's going to be Brand of Sacrifice's album, Lifeblood. Number 7, this is a band that has been in the game for a long time. I have seen this band live, and they were absolutely incredible here. It's a band that I listened to quite a bit when I first heard of them here, but now I'm listening to them a lot more. And with their newest album, because it's of the personal lyrics and the way everything sounds, I think this album's absolutely going to blow up the metalcore scene here, and that's going to be Silent Planet's album, Iridescent.
Epic! Oh, ah! Oh, shoot!
In my opinion, this is legitimately the best Silent Planet album for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think this is the best, like, choruses they've ever done. I was talking to my friend Josiah about this when we did a kind of our podcast a couple of days ago, and I said that Silent Planet's music, like, is great, but their choruses for me kind of lacked a little bit on some of their older stuff here. I feel like on this new album, the choruses are absolutely perfect. They definitely have sing-along elements to it here, and I think they're absolutely fantastic. I also really prefer these new lyrics that they're putting out, because they're so personable, and they talk a lot about mental health and kind of how we see the world. I think Silent Planet are such great writers, like probably the best writers in any genre of music. I think their lyrics really impacted me a lot most on this album, and I can relate to it a lot more, so that's why this is my favorite Silent Planet album. This album is super good. Again, I cannot wait for it to blow up in the metalcore scene, and again, Silent Planet Iridescent is an amazing, amazing album. Number 6 is going to be another solid state band. There are 3 solid state bands on my top 10 albums of 2021. I just realized that as I was filming this here. But this album absolutely blew me away. It is the definition of good old-fashioned metalcore. It's got a little bit of As Lay Dying's feel to it here, and I absolutely love this album. It's heavy, melodic, and that's going to be Phineas's album, The Fire Itself.
Oh, yeah!
I am the fire itself. I am the fire itself.
Oh, dude. Oh my gosh. This has been one of those bands where I think they are incredibly underrated. I think I said it in every reaction video that I did for them, that we need to get this band bigger. We need to get this band like headlining shows, and just because like their music is so freaking good. It's so heavy. Daniel Gailey is so good at guitar, and everything about it is like so impactful. Like, again, the instruments are just insane on this album. I absolutely love this record. Again, I think this is giving them more recognition. I think they deserve more recognition here. But again, Phineas the Fire itself is a wonderful, wonderful metalcore album, and you should all check it out if you have not. Alright, we are about at the halfway point here. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. I just want to take a little break in between to remind you guys to please hit the subscribe button, the like button, share the video with your friends, leave a comment down below. Again, it really does help with the YouTube algorithm. And again, I do have a goal of trying to hit 3,000 subscribers before the end of 2021. If I don't, not a big deal here. And again, I do my update video, if you guys have seen it here. Once we hit 3,000 subscribers, we're going to start our first giveaway, which is going to be Wage Wars Manic, which is going to be just a CD, because I actually ordered 2 copies of it here. So again, once we hit 3,000 subscribers, I'm going to give you guys more information on the giveaways here, just to give you guys a little heads up for that. But let's go and continue with number 5. Number 5, this is one of the bands that I would consider one of my favorite bands of all time. I have loved all their material here. I absolutely love what they did, or I guess what he did with this album here. Again, it's really personal lyrics. The instruments are off the top rope. Everything about this album is great. It is a great metal/rock album, and that's going to be Beartooth's album, Below. Oh yeah, man, this is going to be a sing-along. You're gonna be like, you sing it now! Oh, dude, yeah! Oh, yeah! Oh! Yeah! And Beartooth has always been one of those bands where I'm just like, I absolutely love everything that they do. Caleb Shomo is one of my favorite people of all time. I don't know him personally, but I love the way that he portrays mental health, and he's so open about it. It really has helped me in my journey of trying to get better myself, because I do struggle myself with depression and anxiety, and I think Beartooth does an absolutely amazing job expressing how it is to live with that. And I think people who don't struggle with it can finally understand like what it's like for people who do struggle with that. I think this album, Below, is definitely some of their best work. I don't know if it's better than Aggressive. I'll have to like listen to them again back to back to kind of see, but this album is absolutely amazing. And again, I'm sure a lot of people have checked it out here, but if you haven't, check a look at it here. There's going to be a song on that album that you will definitely like. Whether you like metal or not metal, there's something for you on this album. Number 4, this is a band that I've known about for years. I've known about it since high school, but honestly, I didn't really pay much attention to them until the first Silver Scream album came out. I thought that was an amazing album. I know I'm like everybody else and kind of got into them with that album here. But again, I just kind of gave it away what number 4 was. But again, number 4 is going to be Ice Nine Kills' album, The Silver Scream 2, Welcome to Horrorwood. Oh my gosh, what a closer. Fan of horror movies, and as a fan of metalcore, this album is absolutely perfect. I did mention throughout the video, if you guys saw it on my Patreon, that this album may beat my number 1 as my favorite album of the year. As I listened to it more, it definitely didn't, but again, I like the album enough to definitely put it within my top 5. I think Spencer has an amazing voice. I think it's super melodic. I think every song on here is so good, and again, you could tell each song apart, and again, I love most of the moves that I've seen in this album. I've really enjoyed, and so this album is incredible. I'm sure everybody has checked it out here, but if you haven't, definitely check it out. You will not be disappointed with this album, especially if you like horror and metalcore. Number 3, so this album was my number 1 for the longest time. I listened to a ton of albums this year, and nothing could top this album for me here until these other 2 albums before it, you know, kind of topped it. They actually came out later this year, but this album is so incredible. These guys are one of my favorite bands. Their instruments are great. The vocals are great. Everything about this band is wonderful, and that is going to be Era's self-titled album. Oh, the fire fireworks! Yeah! Oh yeah, I'm gonna play that at my wedding one day, dude. Woo! Yeah, dude. What more can I say about this album, man? Every song on this album is so good. I love Arrow's older stuff here, but I especially love this album. I think JT is in his prime with this album here. Of course, Jesse Cash is an amazing singer, amazing guitar player, and when I heard Snowblood for the first time, I was like, there is something different about this album that's going to be coming forward, and it was incredible. I loved watching everybody's reaction to this band because I love it just as much as they do, and I cannot wait to see what Era does next. It's going to be really interesting to see how they're going to top their self-titled, because legitimately, this is one of the best metalcore albums I've heard in a super long time. Even though it's not my number one, I think technically, vocally, and lyrically, it is without question one of the best I've heard. My number 2 spot, the runner-up. Was a very hard decision to put this here because the album just came out, and I know a lot of people are like, why is this going to be your number 2? It just came out, you haven't really had enough time to listen to it here. I have listened to this album over and over and over since it has come out here. I legitimately know every single word to this album, and it's an album that I was very excited for, but I did not know it was going to be this good. It almost made number 1. It was super close, but of course you all probably know what my number 1 is if you've followed my channel for a while. But at number 2 is going to be Scion's self-titled here. Again, that's with Jared Dines and Howard Jones. Come on, brother. Oh, here we go. Yeah! One of my favorite metalcore albums of all time is The End of Heartache by Killswitch Engage, and this album definitely did give me some End of Heartache vibes here. Also just gave me some old school Killswitch vibes, even from like As Daylight Dies and some of their other material, and I absolutely loved this album. I mentioned in my full album reaction on Patreon that I think that this project is better than Light the Torch's new album and better than Killswitch Engage's new album Atonement. I think Jared and Howard are a great team. This album rips, dude. It was like right behind Adele when it on the iTunes chart, which is absolutely insane for like a self-released album, a metal album. Coming in place like after Adele is pretty insane. So again, if you haven't heard it yet, definitely check it out here. You will not be disappointed. Howard Jones is like in his 50s and he's still sounding like he can command a freaking army, and Jared is so talented as well. Legitimately one of the best metal albums this year. I had a great time listening to it, man. As I mentioned earlier, if you've been following my channel for a while, I've been doing this channel now for about 6-7 months. You probably know what my number 1 is going to be, but I will make sure to explain why it's my number 1. I know it's a bit biased because they're legitimately my favorite band of all time, and that is going to be Wage War and their album, Manic. Oh, let's get that beat down going on. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, back to that pitch harmonic thing. I don't play guitar, but oh yeah, dude. I remember when I first heard Wage War for the first time, I heard their album Blueprint, and it kind of came out of nowhere. I remember watching Heart Support and they kind of came up, and I played a clip of their song 21 and I liked it, so I looked it up and I loved that song, and then I realized they just put out a full-length album, and so I checked out Blueprints, absolutely fell in love with every single song. And then again, Dead Weight, when that album came out, was like my most anticipated album in a super long time, and that album delivered on everything that I wanted in a metalcore album. I think Wage War, again, was leading the new wave of these new metalcore bands. They were just so good, and I still think they are, because with their new material. So Deadweight was amazing. When Pressure came out, a lot of people did not like that album. Still to this day, I see comments saying people just don't like the album, think it's their worst work to date. It's not my favorite album by them. It's definitely my lowest, but I still don't hate the album. It's got some of my favorite Wage War songs on there. And so when Manic came out and they released High Horse, I was totally roped back in, even though I never really left. And then they put out Circle the Drain, and then they put out Teeth, and then I did the full album reaction. And I have to say that this is definitely Wage War's best material here. They took the best elements of Pressure, and they took elements from Blueprints and Deadweight and just put it all together to make Manic. And I know Cody went on record saying this could have been their self-titled album. I agree, because every song on this album is so catchy. Even the songs that people say are like the weakest, I still think is their best material to date when it comes to the lyrics, the instruments, the production, everything about this album absolutely rips. And when Wage War puts out an album, you probably already gonna know it's gonna be my #1 album of the year. But I absolutely love Manic. I think it's incredible here. I'm sure a lot of you guys, or all of you guys, have heard it here, but if you haven't, check out Manic. It's definitely their best work to date. Alright, my friends, so again, those are my top 10 albums of 2021. I hope you guys enjoyed the list here. I had a really fun time making this here. Again, I want to see your list down below in the comments here. Again, please be kind to one another. If you don't agree with something, just have a friendly conversation here. You know, I know some people like to get really heated in the comments about like what's better, or if you're going to attack anybody, attack me. Don't attack other people who are just leaving their comments for fun here. But again, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video here. Again, I want to thank you all so much for your ongoing support at Chandler Burton Entertainment here. The next slide over is going to be all my social media, if you guys just stick around for that here. But until next time, I hope you all take care. Much love to you guys. Thank you again.